Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I have 3 stories for you in this very latest Moon Lambo hot jam, starting with this one from the Crypto Basic. Market Pundit says XRP is the biggest scam in crypto. Here's why. And I'll just tell you at the outset of the video, and this gave me a few lows. The reason that this particular pundit is saying what he's saying is because XRP didn't pump to the moon after the Ripple lawsuit concluded, and that is a completely ridiculous expectation. Really grinds my gears, folks, really grinds my gears. Then there's also this headline, this is from CoinDesk. What's next in SEC v. Ripple? Now, the reason I want to highlight this specifically is because CoinDesk actually did interview Stuart Alderati, who of course is Ripple's chief legal officer, and there's some interesting perspective in here. Then there's also this headline from Cointelegraph. Kamala Harris may continue the Biden administration's crypto crackdown. Oh, you think? Now, I don't technically know for sure because nobody does, but if you want to play the odds here, there's no shortage of evidence that she doesn't give a flying you-know-what about the entire crypto space. Most recently, when Trump was speaking at the Bitcoin conference, she just snubbed the entire industry, everybody that's a part of it, including holders, by just refusing to participate. She was speaking with organizers. She's like, yeah, I don't want to do it though, and so she didn't. And she's been complicit in this entire thing. So I'll just say at the outset, I'm not optimistic for a change. You know, I think that's reasonable, but. Before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so the first headline here, Market Pundit says XRP is the biggest scam in crypto. Here's why. That's right, XRP. The coin that has, mind you this is hilarious, even the SEC didn't claim anything fraudulent occurred within the XRP ecosystem by Ripple, for example. And this pundit is talking about the Ripple lawsuit. Even the SEC doesn't say that there's anything that's a scam. But XRP is a scam because of reasons, folks. Widely followed crypto pundit Max Prime has boldly asserted that XRP is the greatest scam in the crypto scene, citing its failure to ascend in the face of crucial events. The commentator shared this opinion in a recent post on X. He criticized XRP's price movements following significant events that should have bolstered its much-anticipated rise, but did not. Max Prime first pointed to the conclusion of the multi-year lawsuit that had threatened the existence of both XRP and Ripple. Despite the lawsuit's resolution, XRP's price failed to reflect the significance of the development. Okay, and so here's the actual post, and he shared this screen grab of XRP at 56 cents, down 10.81% on the year, which is, that doesn't mean anything. That in and of itself, I don't want to go into a whole bunch of stuff about price in this video, but it simply doesn't. XRP historically looks priced very poorly against Bitcoin, for example, and even as it pertains to XRP against the United States dollar, well, it is up on the cycle low, which was 28 cents, which occurred over 2 years ago. But when it breaks out, that's frequently years later, and it happens over a very short period of time. So that in and of itself isn't weird, but still, here's what this guy said. And look, 43,800 followers. You know, he's got 43,800 followers, and that is not easy to attain. There are tens of thousands of people listening to what this guy says. And here's what he said. He used a whole lot of all caps, which frequently indicates a high level of intelligence, as you know, because it indicates screaming. And as you know, when people are screaming at you, that means that they don't have a small brain. That means they have a very big brain with lots of smart thoughts. So that's what's happening here, right? So here's what he wrote. XRP is literally the biggest scam in crypto. Oh my God, has he even looked at microcaps? Has he looked at any microcaps? Like a single one? It's hilarious. And then the all caps start here. They win the lawsuit against the SEC. Whoa. Who's they? He wrote XRP, and he's referencing Ripple now. I guess they're the same thing, right? They're the same thing. Anyway. So they win the lawsuit against the SEC, paid very small fine, and XRP doesn't move. These XRP clowns have been saying it's to the moon after lawsuit and get nothing. Ha ha, ha ha, suckers. Folks, this This is why we cannot have nice things. This is why we cannot have nice things. It really steams my vegetables, too. This is completely... So, this guy with his tens of thousands of followers, I don't know how that happened, but I will tell you this. He does not understand, even broadly speaking, how crypto markets work. He doesn't understand that markets pump when there is increased liquidity. That's when people are interested in increasing their risk when it comes to investments. That's why you'll see a jump up in stock investments, and you'll see that will ultimately, typically, in times of great confidence, and well, I shouldn't even say that. It's in part of it. It's that there's increasing global liquidity. More people have more funds to disperse, and then they have confidence to invest in riskier assets. So they'll go further out the risk curve, which is why you see them invest in stocks, rolling out even into small cap stocks, which are considered to be more risky. Same with crypto. Money starts flowing into Bitcoin, then other large cap, mid cap, small caps, so on and so forth, further out the risk curve. That's all it is. Having personally followed XRP developments for almost 7 full years at this point, I can tell you, from my personal experience, the news from Ripple itself, any business developments, does not move XRP. Now, fair enough to note, as it pertains to what the SEC did, yes, that scared the markets. So obviously when the SEC did something, yes, in late 2020, market tanked. That wasn't Ripple doing something. That was the SEC doing something. So then also when XRP got legal clarity, you saw a bit of a pump, but that didn't, last in any sort of meaningful way. I mean, yes, price went down in the coming months, but I think it would have been even lower if not for that legal clarity. That definitely increased some confidence. Institutional investors began flowing in also. So there were things like that, most certainly here. But, XRP, despite getting that legal clarity over a year ago, it wasn't just going to fly just because. Because XRP's never gone off to a new all-time high without the entire market going, because it's about liquidity. It's not about whatever narrative is occurring in the moment. This guy doesn't understand that. And so it didn't happen then. And then, when the Ripple lawsuit ended, he's surprised, and this is even more ridiculous, he's surprised it didn't fly then. Fine, we're in a bull market now, but holy freaking hell. XRP already got the legal clarity. It's silly that XRP pumped it all. So I'm like the 180 of him. He thinks it should have flown to the moon and hit a new all-time high. I'm like, no, I think it's silly that it even moved up a little bit. That indicates that people are just being completely irrational and or don't understand that XRP had legal clarity dating back over a year. I have the completely 180 position of this guy. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. There's no reason to expect that. That's not reasonable. And if you're worried about what's happening with XRP, as it pertains to anything having to do with the conclusion of the SEC lawsuit, what if there's an appeal, this or that? Not worth worrying. So Stuart Alderati shared this CoinDesk article. He had a conversation with them. And the headline here, what's next in SEC v. Ripple? I don't want to read most of it because a lot of it's kind of a recap, because I have a feeling that people that read CoinDesk, I read like pretty much everything under the sun, but I think that a lot of the people that read CoinDesk might not necessarily be the biggest fans of XRP, because CoinDesk just rips on XRP and Ripple irrationally. They've been doing it for their entire existence. But they're talking about why it matters, breaking it down, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I've covered that sufficiently enough in recent times. I don't want to rehash all this. But I do want to share this section right here about the penalties, because there's some commentary from Stuart Alderati and a couple other attorneys, and then a little bit about the appeal here, because I found this interesting, though. So a piece from here reads as follows. The penalties themselves are fairly straightforward. The $125 million is something Ripple can easily cover, Alderati said. Both he and the attorney speaking on the background noted that the judge did not find any of the institutional investors had been specifically harmed. How about that? Not a single fraud claim, but still a $125 million penalty. Of course. And here's a quote from Alderati. Judge Torres found those parties got exactly what they bargained for. So one kind of has to ask, why did the SEC put Ripple to the task of having to defend the suit at a cost of over $150 million? End quote. Well, yeah, it's completely absurd, and that should not have happened. It was all about an SEC assault on crypto, just broadly speaking. That may lead to a bad precedent for the SEC, the other attorney said, because it may become more difficult for the regulator to argue for large judgments tied to registration violations in an effort to deter potential future violations. Yeah, that's true. So the SEC got almost nothing that they wanted, and it is going to make them, attacking the world of crypto harder in the future. Precedent set. Peace continues. The injunction the judge imposed, is also unlikely to be a big deal. Alderati called it an obey the law injunction tied to the violation found in selling XRP to institutional investors. Foley and Lardner's Darty said there's no real guidance in the injunction, which is a procedural one courts often impose. And this is a key point, folks, and that's another reason I wanted to highlight this. This is useful information as it pertains to XRP as a bridge currency. In this case, while the judge said Ripple's on-demand liquidity service may come close to the line of violating federal laws, she didn't rule that Ripple had violated the law with it or whether ODL needed to be exempt from registration. And so that's why, because look, the SEC was asking for specific language that would have been more troublesome for Ripple using ODL. But the lawyer here points out, again, there's no guidance in the injunction. There's no specifics as to what they have to do. It's just a broad statement. That's good for Ripple. The SEC did not get what they want here. Peace continues. Ripple Labs needs to avoid selling XRP the one way that the court held to be unlawful, as an institutional placement that did not comply with the requirements for an SEC registration exemption. This means that Ripple Labs can continue to sell XRP in ways that do comply, either because the offerings are offshore or because private placement norms are satisfied, end quote. Which is what I've been saying. XRP is going to continue to be used as a bridge currency the world over, and then for any corridor touch in the United States, they'll use a stablecoin, which is what they're doing now. Perfectly fine. Now on to the appeal, though. If the SEC does choose to appeal, or for that matter, if Ripple decides to appeal its less significant loss in the institutional sales portion, it will have 60 days from the ruling's publication to file a notice. It would be more difficult for the SEC to try and appeal any of the remedies rulings, the ruling that contained the $125 million fine. Now, Alderati, the Ripple legal chief, said he wouldn't advise an appeal if he was working with the SEC. And here's his quote. I think the finality of the judgment. Hopefully people won't be distracted by if the SEC is going to appeal, what happens if they appeal. Even if they do appeal, I would just tell everyone, take a deep breath. End quote. Right, and so in separate comments, in separate instances, Alderati has spoken at length about how this doesn't change anything about the legal status of XRP. It won't change a damn thing. And I'll remind you also, the SEC themselves have publicly stated, they wrote to Judge Torres, in fact, they will not be appealing on the fact that XRP itself is not a security. They're not going to even attempt to appeal that. Now on to this. From Cointelegraph, Kamala Harris may continue the Biden administration's crypto crackdown. Yeah, you think? And so there's this post from Tyler Winklevoss. He shared the story and he said, very concerning. Harris has chosen Biden's economic policy advisors, including Bharat Ramamurthy, nailed it, which is the White House's top crypto critic, as her own. Well, that doesn't sound good. He says, looks like the war on crypto will only continue under a Harris administration. So Peace reads as follows. Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, aims to maintain the Biden administration's stringent stance on cryptocurrency regulation. Harris is reportedly working with Brian Deese and Bharat Ramamurthy. Nail it. Two former economic advisors of the Biden administration who have heavily opposed the previous Clarity for Payment Stablecoins Act of 2023 for being too permissive for issuers. Harris's choice of economic advisors could signal her intention to continue the Biden administration's hostile crypto regulatory approach, according to Alex Thorne, head of research at Galaxy, who wrote in an August 13th X post. Quote, new evidence that Kamala Harris will continue crypto crackdown. Her advisor choice suggests she will keep Biden's hostile attitude to crypto, end quote. Harris is preparing to unveil plans regarding her economic policy agenda in a mid-August speech, which could offer investors more clues about her approach toward cryptocurrency regulation. So that, and then there's also what I mentioned at the outset of the video, snubbed the Bitcoin conference. She was talking about talking there to the organizers. Decided not to. Won't speak publicly about this. It's like, if she were pro crypto, if she genuinely were, she would say something, don't you think? Jesus, like, because it's not like she loses voters by becoming pro crypto. She just, if anything, it's just a sign she genuinely, like, read into it, folks. This is something you read into. She doesn't care. She doesn't like the stuff. You can only surmise that. Otherwise, what the hell? Take the free voter block. Just take it. But she won't. Why would she not? Because there is no voter block that is anti-crypto. There are people that don't like crypto, but there's no voter block. There aren't people voting on that. But there are one issue, like single issue voters on the pro-crypto side. And so I'll just tell you, I don't care how you vote. I'm not going to preach politics to you. Just know that if you choose to vote this particular way, go for it. And I understand not being a one issue voter. I'm not myself, so it's fine. But just understand you are voting against your own self-interest as it pertains to your financial well-being in the world of crypto. That is undeniably true at this point. I don't see how anybody could argue against that with a straight face. If you're in crypto, you know that. So if you want to vote that way, go for it. Just know that it is against your own best interest. And if the other stuff is much more important, I respect that, actually. If everything else is way more important, okay. As long as you know that you're harming yourself financially by doing this. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.